Amanda, I want to play a game.
Hey horror freaks, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda. As you can see from the title, today's video is going to be finally my list of the best and worst horror movies of 2024. We had a good year, I could say, although at first I wasn't that happy, but now that the year is coming to an end, I can say that I am pleased with what it had in general. So we had a lot of good things that made my list a little bit hard to pick, but that's a good thing. Now I'm going to be giving you my top 20. It was a hard choice, so I am giving 10 honorable mentions and my top 10 of best horror movies, my top 5 worst, and I wanted to include other categories for the first time in these videos that I do, and it's my favorite original songs, my favorite performances, my biggest surprises, my biggest disappointments, and other stuff, because I wanted to bring something else than just my best and worst. So without anything else to say, let's not waste any more time and let's get into my best and worst horror movies of 2024. I want to start with my favorite original songs, that I have two. The first one is New Brain, that came out in Smile 2, and the second one is Work of Art, that came out in Terrifier 3. I love it, these two songs, with all my heart. New Brain, I don't have any idea of how many times I have listened to it already ever since the film came out. And Work of Art is by Ice Nine Kills, that is one of my favorite bands, so I was so excited to see that they were going to be doing a song for Terrifier 3, and they didn't disappoint. If you haven't watched the video, go and do it, it's so good. It's as similar as they can to the movie, so good. When it comes to my favorite opening scenes this year, was hard to pick, but my favorite three were the Nosferatu one. Opening scene alone sells the movie, Longlegs, and Terrifier 3. I know that not everyone liked it Longlegs, but for me the opening scene was everything that I needed to know. I really like it Longlegs, so I enjoyed it, and the opening scene was chef's kisses. And Terrifier 3, it sets the tone for the rest of the movie, and it's a glimpse and a taste of where you're going to be seeing it later. So if you're not sure if you're going to be able to handle the movie, the opening scene is going to give you the answer right away. When it comes to my favorite performances, I have Margaret Qualley and Demi Moore on The Substance, Naomi Scott on A Smile 2, and Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp on Nosferatu. Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, they both killed it on The Substance, especially Demi Moore. They were perfectly cast. Cannot see any other actress doing their parts. They were amazing. Naomi Scott on Smile 2. She was perfectly cast, in my opinion, because you needed an actress that was both a performer but also able to bring all the emotions that the character was having. She did it perfectly. I was already aware of her talent as a singer because I knew her by a Disney Channel, and also the live action of Aladdin, where she plays Jasmine. She sings there, obviously, and for me she was already a good singer. Here she killed it. I mean, she is also the reason why I liked the song New Brain so much. She was amazing and again perfectly casted. She delivered everything that was needed for the character perfectly. And at last, because it's the most recent one that I saw, Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp on Nosferatu. If you saw my review of the movie, you know my full opinion on them performances, but to give the quick version of it, they both killed it. Bill Skarsgård, he put everything on that role to the point that you cannot see him. You're seeing Nosferatu, you're not seeing the actor. And also the makeup helps a lot, and his voice is unrecognizable. He did a fantastic job. Lily, on the other hand, I was so surprised with her work and I really liked it. And she was able to show that she has talent. All that she needed was a good director and a good script. She had both here, and I would really like to see her in more horror, but for me it was a top performance and I was so pleased with her work by the end of the movie. When it comes to my favorite moments in a horror movie throughout the year, this one was a hard pick, but the one that takes the number one spot, because this one it made me laugh a lot and it was so out of nowhere but perfectly for the movie, is this one. I got him!
Sammy, those are fucking onions.
This trio, they are amazing, not only on this movie but as individuals. Actually, the three of them, they have different movies throughout the year. Melissa Barrera had Your Monster, he had Cuckoo, and Katie also had Lisa Frankenstein. Both those three are amazing on Abigail, and this specific part took me out and made me laugh so damn hard that to this day I am still thinking about that scene, so that's why it's my favorite moment. In all of the horror movies that I saw this year, so it was a hard pick, but it's the one that stuck with me, although it may not be the best one, but it's my favorite. My biggest surprises, these were movies that I wasn't expecting that much, but they ended up being huge surprises. Smile 2. I went to watch this one because I felt that I had to, since I am not the biggest fan of the first one, but I ended up loving Smile 2. Speak No Evil. I was against this remake when it first was announced. I went to watch it because I felt that I had to. At the end, I loved it. For me, it's a very well-made remake, and it justifies its existence and also makes the story feel fresh and new, because we had a change when it came to the outcome of the story and that ending. So if you saw the original and you're thinking or maybe thought about watching the remake, I will suggest it too, because it has a happier ending than original. So if you suffered like me with the original, this one you maybe suffer a little bit, but not as much. And now going to the bad thing, and these ones are my biggest disappointments. These were the ones that I was expecting a lot and didn't fulfill my expectations. The first one is Uzumaki Spiral into Horror. I really liked the story. I read the manga before watching it. It wasn't what I was expecting, and although it has a good rating, it could have been way better, especially when they took so long to make it. So I am not a hard person to please, but I also have to be honest, and when something is not as good as it could be, I have to say it. My other disappointment of this year was Salem's Lot. I was expecting a lot from this remake. They stripped away the whole essence of the story, and the fact that they didn't even focus on the house, that's something that stuck with me, because the house is the most important part of it. If you have read the book and then you watch this, you're going to completely understand it. If you haven't, or maybe you have watched the original, you're still going to see a little bit of it. But if you watch this without watching the original or without reading the book, you're not going to notice this at all. So probably was just a me issue because I read the book and saw the original, but I was expecting way more. My biggest disappointment this year was Maxine. I love Pearl and X, so I was expecting a lot from the ending of this trilogy, and it was an almost perfect trilogy. I don't know what happened, but the film was kind of messy and wasn't at the same level as Pearl and X. I understood what they were trying to do, but for what we were expecting, again, they didn't fulfill the expectations, so I was expecting a lot. It was one of my most expected horror movies of this year. I didn't hate it. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't hate it. I don't think that it's awful, but when you think about the fact that this is supposed to be the ending of this amazing trilogy, we have to admit that it wasn't at the level. And at last, The Strangers Chapter 1. This was one that I was going to give the chance, the benefit of the doubt. I was excited. It ended up being more of the same thing. It wasn't nothing new, nothing out of the extraordinary. So for me, it was a little bit disappointment. I am still going to be watching Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 that are supposed to be coming now on 2025. So I am going to be giving those a chance, but this first chapter, I was expecting a lot from it, and it wasn't what I was expecting, so it became a disappointment. And now for what we came to, my best and worst horror movies of 2024. I am going to be giving first my worst ones. Back when I did this on June, my top worst was Tarot, No Way Up, Backhead, Night Swim, and Imaginary. And right now, my top worst is Afraid, Tarot, The Crow, No Way Up, and Night Swim. For me, the worst horror movie of this year is Afraid. This one is now available on Netflix, where I saw it. I am glad that I didn't watch this in theaters because this was a painful watch. Tarot, I hated this movie with every fiber of myself. This was so basic and commercial, and it was a painful watch in theaters. The third one, The Crow. If you saw my review, you know, but if not, let me tell you. I was dragged in those comments, people saying that I needed to stop comparing the original with this, and you know what? The thing is that I don't need to compare them in order to prove that this is not a good movie, because it's not. I am actually surprised that Bill Skarsgård is on one of the worst horror movies of this year and also one of the best. We're talking about range here. But when it comes to The Crow, it doesn't justify its existence. Why the hell they changed his physical appearance, his relationship with Shelley. I don't know what they were trying to do. But I didn't like the portraying, also the actress. They could have picked someone better. What in my opinion hurt the most the film was the script. I feel that the film had potential, and when I did my trailer reaction, I said I was willing to give the film a chance. I was dragged in the comments by saying that because people were saying that this was going to be an awful film. Then when I say that it's bad, people were dragging me because they were saying that I was hard to please because I was comparing it to the original. What do you want? Seriously, at this point, what do you want? But I didn't like this at all. Not even the soundtrack. But well, I saw it. I don't think that I am going to ever rewatch it, but if you did, I am sorry for you. Now, when it comes to No Way Up, I didn't like it, this one at all. It's about sharks and a plane underwater. I feel that the concept was creative, but unfortunately it didn't deliver something worth watching, to be honest. So again, another kind of painful experience at last. Night Swim, that is the film that opened in 2024, was the first film that I reviewed and saw in theaters this year. Blumhouse, it had about a line of movies that came out one behind the other. This one was one of those. I wasn't expecting much about this movie already, and it delivered nothing. So for me, this one was a surprise of how bad it ended up being. And now, on the good side, my top best horror movies. Like I said, I had to put this on a top 20 because I wasn't able to just do the top 10 because I felt that there were so many movies that I wanted to include. So the first 10 that I'm going to be mentioning are my honorable mentions, the ones that didn't make the 10 but that I like it enough to still mentioning them. And starting off with number 11 all the way to 20, we have Abigail, In a Violent Nature, Speak No Evil, Terrifier 3, Stop Motion, You Will Never Find Me, Lisa Frankenstein, Immaculate, Oddity, and Beetlejuice. I know that Oddity is a favorite of many this year. It wasn't for me. I liked it, but not enough to be in my top 10, but I didn't hate it either. I wasn't as impressed. Maybe I don't want to say that it was overhyped. Maybe I had too higher expectations for what it was, but I still think that it's pretty decent. It's on Shudder. Beetlejuice. I know that a lot of people didn't like it. I enjoyed it. I like Beetlejuice, but again, not a top 10. When it comes to Abigail, I love it, that one. Others were better, but still it deserves to be included. In a Violent Nature was actually part of my top 10 back in June, but this one dropped it. With all the new releases, I still like it, but many others came after it and they were better. When it comes to Terrifier 3, I really like it, the film, but not enough to put it on the top 10. I still enjoyed it, so I felt, why not? Let's just put it on the list. When it comes to Stop Motion, there's another one from Shudder. I feel that the film could have been a little bit better. They could have developed a little bit better the story, but still worth watching. This one is more of a thriller rather than horror. It's also on Shudder and is You Will Never Find Me. I really enjoyed this one. And I'm not even going to say anything else because I feel that it's better to watch without spoilers. So if you haven't checked it out, maybe read the plot. If you have Shudder, sit down and watch it because I enjoyed it. Like I said, more of a thriller rather than horror, but that is worth watching. When it comes to Lisa Frankenstein, I know that many people didn't like it. I did. It's a type of movies that I like, so I just loved it. When it came to Immaculate, pretty good one, but others were better. And now to the top 10. Now back in June, this was my top 10 going from the first to the 10. Starting with Late Night with the Devil, Infested, In a Violent Nature, Abigail, The First Omen, Stop Motion, Lisa Frankenstein, Immaculate, I Saw the TV Glow, and You Will Never Find Me. As you can see, many of the specs, they were dropped from their places and even moved to the honorable mention section. So that means that we had a good second part of the year, 100%. And I am going to be presenting now my top 10 starting all the way from 10 to 1. Starting off with The First Omen, I love it. This one for me, it was a perfect addition to the franchise. The opening scene, loved it. I like it seeing that hint to possession. If you have watched the movie and then you watch The First Omen, you're going to recognize it. And I really like it how, although it is a prequel, it can stand on its own. On the number 9, I have Your Monster starring Melissa Barrera. This is a horror rom-com that I enjoyed so damn much. Melissa, I really like her as an actress and I had such a fun time. This one is perfect to watch during Valentine's Day. February is coming up, so maybe you want to wait to that, or maybe watch it now and then rewatch it. As you can see, for me, it was one of the best ones of the year. On the number 8, I have Smile 2. Smile didn't make my top 10. I am not the biggest fan of it, but Smile 2, on the other hand, I enjoyed it way much, to the point that it's on my top 10 of this year. If you haven't watched it, give this one a chance. I'm going to promise you that you're not going to be disappointed. This one is worth watching 100%. It has great performances, great songs, and very effective jump scares. On the number 7, I have Alien Romulus, another perfect addition to a classic franchise. That third act alone sells the movie. It's creepy as hell, so damn effective. I really like it, the practical effects, how immersive the film felt, and how, although it's now part of a huge franchise, it can stand on its own. On the number 6, I have Late Night with the Devil. This is probably the most commented horror movie of this year. Such a fun concept. I really like it how they bring possession horror, but in a different way. I am tired of seeing possession movies being the same thing over and over. Great performances, practical effects. So this one is available in Shudder if you haven't watched it yet, but if you haven't, you have to. On the number 5, I have Longlegs. I know not everyone likes Longlegs. That's fine, that's your opinion, but on mine, for me, it was a good horror movie. I really like it. Nicolas Cage and Maika Monroe, they both did excellent jobs. Really like it, the visual aspect of the movie, and also how many hidden details it has. For me, it's a type of movie that you need to watch more than once in order to fully understand everything. So for me, it was an enjoyable experience. Again, I understand it wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but at least for me, it was. On the number 4, I have Infested. This one for me went under the radar because I don't see that many people talking about it. It's on Shudder, it's French, and it's about spiders. These spiders, they start to attack this apartment building, but what I like it about it is that similar to Godzilla Minus One, the film takes its time to develop the characters and the story so you care about them, and it gives some purpose to the movie instead of just spiders hanging around and killing people. Number 3, I have my most recent watch, Nosferatu. This is a gothic horror masterpiece. If you haven't watched it yet, go and watch it right now. I can assure you that watching it in theaters is going to make the experience 10 times better than watching it at home. Cinematography is so beautiful. Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp, they kill their roles. The rest of the cast also do a pretty good job, but Bill as Count Orlok is something that you don't want to miss. This film is a great addition to all the Dracula's adaptations that already exist, but this one feels unique enough so that the existence of it is justified. On the number 2, I have Heretic. I was impressed with how well written this film was. Hugh Grant did a fantastic job. He was the perfect man for his role. He had the perfect charm, but also being the creepy guy, and also the way that the film projects and deals with religion in a respectful way. I feel that this one is 100% worth watching, and I also like it that the ending is left to the interpretation of the viewer. I feel that is a type of movie that you need to watch more than once in order to fully interpret the ending. And at last, my number 1, and in my opinion the best horror movie of 2024 is The Substance. Ever since I saw the trailer and heard of it, I was already excited. The cast killed it. Margaret Qualley, Demi Moore, and Dennis Quaid, those 3, they were amazing on the roles. That Demi Moore portrays her character Elizabeth is breathtaking. It's raw and straight to the point. We don't have metaphors, nothing to interpret, and I really like it that because it's making a point and it makes sure that you get it. And I can completely understand if someone didn't like this film, but in my case, since I enjoy this type of body horror, for me it was a complete masterpiece. And with that, I have ended my best and worst horror movies of 2024. Like I said at the beginning, at the end of the day, we had a good year. It was hard for me to pick these movies. There are other movies that had good reviews of this year that I haven't been able to watch. Like Stranger Darling is one that I want to watch, but I haven't been able to. But I have heard only good things about it. So if you follow me on Letterboxd, you can find out later my rating and maybe a little bit of my opinion. But with this, I close the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below which ones are your top horror movies, best and worst of this year. And with this, we end the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Game over.